PowerSchool is my learning management system and student information system. Stay tuned at the end of the show to learn about an upcoming webinar about measuring what matters. Inquiry-Based Learning in the History Classroom, episode 238.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today we're talking to 7th and 8th grade history teacher from California, Joshua Eby. Josh, you're doing some exciting things right now in your classroom. Describe what you're doing this week.
So this week we have been working on the Constitutional Convention, and what I was able to do is each of my students has a different role at the convention playing someone who was actually there. They have a background speaker card, actually a mask and everything that shows. And so we start with a meet and greet where they actually get to know each other and know who's at the convention and the various people. And then we work through the various compromises that went through the convention, and each student gets to vote, they get to deliberate, they get to discuss, and they get to debate, all based upon the actual person that was at the convention.
So they have to play the role.
That's correct. So they are given, again, a background card for each person that was at the convention, and they play one of 32 people. If I have more than 32 students, then I have to invent some other roles for them. And so they have kind of their personal background in each card, their views on different topics they get, and then they have points of contention that they need to raise throughout the convention.
How do you make sure that everybody gets a chance to speak?
So that's through the idea of giving their points to raise. At some point, we just do a piece where it's almost a Socratic piece where everyone says their role and everyone says their viewpoint on at least one topic. And so I monitor that as the teacher, and we make sure that throughout the 3 to 4 days that we do it, that all 30 plus students get an opportunity to speak.
What do the students think about this?
Actually, tomorrow we're doing a Google form in which they are going to evaluate their place at it. Just off of my viewpoint, they just seem so much more excited to come into the classroom each day, because not only playing the roles, but I recreate and make the classroom look different. So they're sitting by state each day. They have to pick up their card. They pick up their mask. And I just saw some students that, again, normally aren't participating as much or getting involved in discussing. And then, looking at some formative assessments I've done thus far, they definitely are getting the material and the curriculum, I think, at a more advanced level than they would be through, say, direct instruction or note-taking or reading strategies.
Josh, are you always this hands-on?
I try to be as oftentimes as we can. I just feel that when students get to live the history and be a part of it, they definitely benefit more. And I think changing into looking at inquiry-based styles, there also is that play for role play as well within that. And I think at least my students aren't as shy in times that we do that, and they get a little more involved. Part of it is using those masks that we have. It's just nice because they get to hide a little bit too if they're not as comfortable being out in front.
Oh, I like that. If you look at your whole school year, what is the greatest knock it out of the park activity you do with your students in history class?
One of the things we do I don't know if it's for me, it's just something I love as a teacher is when we study Lewis and Clark, again, they take the role as someone on the travels and they write a journal as if they were either Lewis or Clark or someone else as a part of the expedition. And I think for me, the value in it is not just the learning about what happened on their travels, but the exploration of America. I travel all across our country in the summer. I RV with my family, and getting my own students to see just the expansiveness of our nation and the diversity that we have. And I think it comes out in those journals, along with the writing and just getting to see how they think as well and kind of their own reflective process.
So are you in a different place each day when they're journaling? So you kind of introduce it, or are they studying it on their own?
It's a little bit of both. So sometimes they read on their own and kind of gather where Lewis and Clark are. And then we have a map that we follow through their travels all the way to Oregon.
Have you ever made a mistake with this inquiry-based learning approach?
Oh gosh, all the time. I would say the biggest mistake that I've realized is sometimes letting the kids go before they have some solid background foundation. Even what we're studying now in California, they're supposed to have studied the Constitution in pieces in fifth grade. It's a large part of our fifth grade social studies curriculum. And so I've made some jumps for them thinking that they have that foundation. And so they've struggled early on. So again, scaffolding the reading and the background information for me helps lay that groundwork so they can really get to the inquiry and the higher order thinking skills that we're looking for.
So how long has it taken you to get to this approach? I mean, do you ever look back on how you started teaching at first and grown?
Yes. The amount of direct instruction that I used to give in my early years is almost negligible compared to what we do now. I think part of it is for me having my own grasp of the material as well and the curriculum as well, and feeling comfortable with that and knowing that I can change and adjust on the fly as we go. And then previously, I've actually spent 12 years as an administrator before the classroom. Again, this year, I went back to teaching this year after 12 years in administration. And I think sitting on the other side of the room has really helped me see that kids can inquire and what are different strategies we can use to get that done.
Are you glad to be back?
I love it. Yes, it is amazing. Best decision I've made.
Is to come back from administration to the classroom. You don't see that happen very often, do you?
No. I think I'm one of the few that I know. I only know of two others, and they were at the very end of actually their careers, and I think they just wanted to finish their last couple of years in the classroom again. But, I enjoyed my time in administration, but I really, really missed working with the students each day. Yeah. And I've seen that benefit again. Like it really has, I would say, reinfused my passion for education and my passion for teaching.
Is there anything you learned as an administrator that's made you a better teacher?
Yes. One thing I saw as an administrator sitting on the other side and observing classrooms is the importance of wait time. And I don't think as a teacher, I saw this because you had to ask teachers, how long do you think you just waited? And they would give me anything, say a minute and a half. And I'd be like, it was only 20 seconds. And so realizing that now as a teacher and using wait time to let kids process, and realizing that your time as a teacher, you don't realize how much time you've actually taken to wait, and really getting to value that now and knowing that sitting back and giving kids time to process leads itself to better thinking for them and better responses as well.
So when you ask a question now, you are in less of a rush than you were before you were an administrator.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of that is just age as well and just time. I started teaching at 22 years old, and I think everything went fast. But I think again, being an administrator and realizing how sometimes I saw that teachers were rushing and didn't realize they were. And so having that mindset now to know I can get to what I need to get to, even if I just wait a little bit longer for kids to process the question that they've asked, or whatever. Even a project we're doing or an activity we're doing, just wait and let them have time before we start getting to work so they really know what they have to do.
So much great advice here we've gotten from Josh about being a remarkable teacher. And this one issue of wait time, that really hits home to me because I think sometimes I don't wait long enough. And so many wonderful ideas here. Let's get kids up. Let's get them moving. And also this idea of having masks for role plays is so marvelous. I think it can really do some things in the classroom. I hope you'll take this and apply this to your classroom, whether it's history or any subject. On January 31st, join a free webinar about preparing students for success and measuring what matters. Jared Cotton, a superintendent from Virginia, will be sharing on that webinar. Just go to coolcatteacher.com/what matters and learn more. I use and enjoy the PowerSchool Learning Management System to help blend my classroom and measure what matters. Check out PowerSchool and their unified classroom today.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.